All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How we all doing? Okay, come on. We are dealing with literature, fantastic literature on a Saturday afternoon, and the weather's beautiful, and people down Orange Avenue were earlier feeling the burn, so let's try this again. How we all doing? We're getting there. We're going to work on your energy level. So not only are we going to do a workshop on performance, but we're also going to workshop your energy. My name is Jay Bradley, and I will be your moderator this afternoon / timekeeper / host. Well, yeah, moderator / host. So how this is going to work is we have folks who have signed up in advance. They are going to receive 2 minutes to read work of their own construction, not covers, your work, because it's one thing to read work that other people have written, and that's all fine and dandy, but it's another to take the risk and read your own work in public. So we want you reading your own work. You will have 2 minutes. If you feel that you're done before 2 minutes, that's fine. That's okay, but we are going to cap you at 2 minutes. I will be keeping time, and I will let you know very politely that your time is up. How this will work is after you read for 2 minutes, our esteemed panel is going to provide you constructive feedback on your performance. We're going to keep it to performance. The writing might also get some feedback if it contributes to your performance, so please keep that in mind. We are here to provide constructive feedback. As I described, I think, earlier during the Flash Fiction panel, it's the level of feedback you should be expecting. If you've seen American Idol, it's going to be Randy Jackson or Paula Abdul level, not Simon Cowell level. And the reason that is if you have never read your work before in public, negative feedback is not exactly conducive, and we want you to read in public because there's not enough of these types of things where you get to actually read in public and get some feedback. So please keep that in mind. Audience, again, if you are reading, thank you so much for being one of our brave volunteers. If you are not reading, you are an audience member. Please respect the mic. Please respect the audience. Please respect the panel. It's really hard to do this if you've never done it, and it takes practice to be comfortable up on the stage. So we're going to love everyone, and we're going as much as possible today, okay? We good? Question?
Do we have to stay on stage while they give us feedback?
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are going to stay up here while you're receiving feedback, so that way you get that face-to-face kind of feedback. So, all right. Let me introduce. So myself, my background is I run There Will Be Words, second Tuesday of every month downstairs at the Gallery at Avalon Island. We actually have a Flash Fiction Slam coming up next in 2 weeks on March 8th. We are looking for readers for that. Please come see me after the panel for more details. I have been on, so I was Slam Poet for 10 years. I was on 5 national poetry slam teams competing for representing Orlando. The highest I ever finished as an individual was 99th out of like 200 people. So I'm like a halfway okay, or as I like to refer to myself, a recovering failed slam poet. So our panelists include to this gentleman over here in the fine checkered, I think that's a checkered shirt in black rimmed glasses. This is James Poissant. Let me tell you a little bit about Jamie. He is the author of the new tell-all memoir, The Life of Pablo, about his first earthly incarnation as the artist Picasso Pablo, not to be confused with Kanye West's new album, which is garbage. I don't agree with that assessment. In reality, he's the author of the fantastic short story collection, The Heaven of Animals, and I believe he has a novel coming out this year? Next year? 2 years. 2 years. So he eventually will have a novel come out. Also, he's in 2014, he was named as one of our Best of the Orby Words folks. He was a finalist for the Best of the Orby Words prize. And if you have seen him read, he's a real treat. If you have not seen him read, you should change that. Our other panelist with us today is over here. everyone say hi to Terri Witek. Terri is the author of 5 books of poetry, most recently Body Switch. Her collaborations with Brazilian visual artists, and if I butcher this name, I'm so sorry. Is it Sirico? Sirico Lopez includes gallery shows, video performance, and site-specific projects that have been featured internationally in New York, Seoul, Korea, Lisbon, and Miami. I almost said Maine. Collaborations with digital artist Matt Roberts include projects for smartphones that poetically map cities. These have been featured in Glasgow, Vancouver, and Orlando, including a show this May at the Orlando Museum of Art. She also runs the undergraduate writing program at Stetson University. She also team teaches with Lopez poetry in the expanded field in Stetson's new low residency MFA of the Americas and the Fernando Pessoa game in Lisbon each summer at Disquiet International. So we have a wide variety of people with experience. So here's the fun part. I am going to randomly select you because random is never fair. It's just random. And we are going to get the party started. Boo your host for not having his stopwatch prepared. So I want you to love the readers, but you can hate me all you want. It's fine. I handle your hatred. I'm actually quietly a Sith Lord. Oh, wait, I shouldn't have said that shit. All right. Mary Marcel. Come on down. Let me know if you need assistance adjusting your microphone.
That should work.
Good. All right. So the 2 minutes starts at the first word.
My cousin crackhead, pole like 6 feet tall, poor boy mustache, hangs out at the mall. Got a girlfriend crackhead, a baby, almost 2. Baby's at her grandma's. No one knows what to do. Grandma's torn to bits 'cause he won't stay off the pipe. Baby's not quite right. Family's in a fight. Tension's really ripe. He tried to stop it once, quit cracking for a while, took it inch by inch, step by step, day by day, mile by mile. One day, he's okay, he took the kid out to the park, but as he passed that crack house, he had to have that spark. Left the kid out in the Lincoln for just a little bit. For his quest, the kid could rest while he sank into that pit. A few minutes later, he came out of that place. Though he knew he'd done wrong, there was a smile on his face. My cousin crackhead then killed his little kid, driving by just too high to stop where everybody did. Big Mac trucks smacked the Lincoln around, tossed the kid through the windshield, out on the ground. Without that little reason that encouraged him to try, my cousin crackhead gave up on being dry. So cousin crackhead's baby and grandma's only hope died in a stupid car crash caused by my cousin's dope. His dealer is his mama now, and crack cocaine's his wife. And for this family portrait, the baby gave her life.
All right. Okay. So, which one of you would like to provide feedback first? You have 1 minute.
Okay. Hi, this is Jamie. That's great. This is weird. I've never done this before, so I haven't had time to formulate my thoughts. I'm no poet, so I won't speak to the poem itself. But in terms of the presentation, yeah, I could hear you, which is great. It's always great. You had no problem projecting. You made lots of eye contact with the audience, so that's always excellent. If I had any general criticism, it might be that any poem or story can be delivered in any sort of way. But often you want to make sure that the tone of the delivery kind of matches the tone of the material, unless you're going for a kind of ironic distancing. So the almost, at times, sort of bouncy sort of happiness of the poem seemed a little incongruous with the subject matter, which is really haunting and sad. That may have been a choice, an intentional choice on your part. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
And thank you for reading that. I think the quality of your voice is particularly lovely. I think the slight tremble in your voice was fine with the material. I think there's always a choice about whether or not to use a podium when you have to read, and when it's a little awkward to have the phone at the end, but then memorizing, I can't do it, so I appreciated the fact that you could do it so much. If I were going to make a suggestion for a revision, I would just follow Jamie's point and say that the rhymes don't help the material. I would take out each rhyme and do something else in that spot. Even if you just, at the point of the rhyme, just say 1, and then 2, and then 3. It would change the expectation, and we would begin to dread, in a way, than we do now, what's going to happen to this poor child. But anyway, lovely performance. Your voice is really pitch perfect.
Thank you. Was this your first time reading?
To an audience like this, yes. I've been in workshops.
I have to say, this is somebody who's watched people who've never performed before. I thought if this is your first time, I was fooled because you did a really good job at reading. Your eye contact, you were making really good eye contact with the audience, because I know that's a big challenge whenever you're reading work from paper or from cell phone, is that kind of thing, and you did a really good job with that. And you did also the memorization part, because it looked like you had part of it memorized, and then part of it, once you realized that you were starting to lose it, rather than have that awkward pause, you just went ahead and used it. And for your first time, that was really good. I was really, you had me fooled as a first-time reader. So I think you did really, really well. So let's give Mary a big round of applause once again. And go ahead and take a seat. Thank you. Did that drop? All right. All right. Let's see here. Now through my scientific method of picking somebody. This is really scientific. Hold on. Is Jim Miller here? There he is. Come on down, Jim. 2 minutes start at your first word. If you need help adjusting the mic, let me know.
No, can everyone hear okay? And I don't have my glasses, so sorry. Sycamore. They used to call us twins. Johnny's mom and dad used to say it. Sarah, Johnny's teenage sister, used to say it. My grandma used to say it. Even David's dad, the guy who visited my grandma, he used to say it. He used to say those boys are 2 peas from the same pod. They all used to say it, and neither Johnny nor I understood why. Johnny's birthday was in January, mine September. We didn't share the same parents. We only looked a little alike, both skinny 11-year-old boys with shaggy blondish hair. We wore baggy Kmart jeans that weren't really jeans, but made from some sort of cheap jean-like material that would rip the first time we snagged them on climbing over fences or up trees. But they all used to say it, and so we acted our part. Here, Johnny said, hold these while I find the hammer. He handed me a box filled with nails as long as brand new pencils. He clanged around in his dad's toolbox, knocking aside screwdrivers, wrenches, and pliers until he pulled out a hammer. Take this, he said, and I'll carry the wood. Johnny had spent most of the morning cutting chunks of 2x4 with a hacksaw, chunks that, in several hours, would be our ladder to the branches of the sycamore tree in his front yard, stuck in that little piece of grass between sidewalk and street. We finished the last rung as Johnny's dad pulled up. We could tell by the look on his face he was not in a good mood, and it became worse when he walked over to where we were driving the final nail into the tree. Maybe it was because we cut up the last of his long 2x4s rather than using the shorter scraps lying around, or maybe it was the 30 or 40 nails we drove into the skin of the tree. Either way, I was sent across the street back to my grandma's house, and Johnny was sent to his room. Johnny's dad let us keep our makeshift ladder, or rather, he didn't make us take it down, and this gave us a whole world to explore, a world of camouflage. At first, we'd climb up through the branches and see how high we could get. Then we sat up there and talked about how cool it was sitting in the tree. Okay, thank you.
Stand over here, please. Thank you, sir. All right.
That was great. It was just getting good. I was really excited to see what came next. Yeah, I would love to hear that. Is it fiction or memoir or?
Fiction, split some truth.
Sure. Yeah, all good fiction is a little true. I was really enchanted by the storytelling, by the simple sentences, the really polished, clean sentences is what I mean by simple. And the delivery was good. You have a great voice. You have a really good voice for reading. Excellent voice. My only suggestion would be to practice a few times before you come up. I mean, you may have practiced a lot, just enough so that you can be comfortable every once in a while looking up, so you can just make occasional eye contact with the audience. I'm someone who can't memorize. I also have to stick to the script, but if I'm familiar, if I've just read the thing to myself enough times, I can give myself permission to look up because I know what the next couple words are going to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does.
And I was entranced, but don't ever start with an apology, especially when your work is that good. And then you said you didn't have your glasses, and they're right in front. We can all see them. Oh, see, so we were like, okay, so are we supposed to believe this guy, or what's going to happen? What is this? I love the fact you didn't announce what genre it was. I think people do way too much explanation, but I think never lead with an apology. Actually, never apologize. This is your moment to own your work. And when the work is this good, I also think one of the things that's really strong in your work is the use of repetition. And that is something that comes across very well when you're picking a piece to read. It's a good piece because, you know, the repetition of say it, maybe it was, he was sent. That's the kind of thing that really works in a performance situation. So, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, we should, why don't we all know each other somehow, right? I guess now we do.
All right. I have to ask, is this your first time ever reading your work in public?
No.
Okay.
I've done it a few times. Not for quite this many people, but
okay.
A few times.
I will say that it did, for me, as I was listening to you, it did show you had a very confident, you're confident with your words, confident with your voice. That kind of echoes Jamie's feedback regarding kind of reading through it, and also making occasional eye contact with the audience as well. Like even if you're kind of just like looking over here, it just makes it look like that you're looking at people in general. But I know how hard it can be sometimes where you're really engrossed with your words to make that eye contact. So, but I thought you did a really good job. So thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. All right. Fantastic. All right. Twip, 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 twip. And I hope I get her name correct, and she can incite you all to boo me if not. Is it Yoila, correct? Zoila? Zoya. Okay. That's right. Boo your host for mispronouncing the name. I am so sorry. How do I pronounce your name correctly again? Zoila. Everyone, please welcome Zoila.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, I'm going to start. The violence of an insurgent group had reached the coast, my city. It had extended to the beaches. The terrorists had attacked police stations, power lines, and petrochemical facilities, mostly in rural areas. Thousands had died. The government statistics said almost 21,000 so far. The past 5 years had not been exactly the golden years. The young ex-president left us all hanging from the worst economic crisis in the history of my country, as far as I understood. The new president, a Japanese-looking one, was dealing with the increasing terrorist attacks, the high rate of common criminals in the cities, and the drug trafficking. The citizens voiced their opinions. You could read about the pain in the newspaper editorials. Some groups of armed citizens agreed to defeat the enemy, terrorists. In the rural areas, they were the ronderos. In the cities, the ex-military were organizing discreetly. We were living our college years in the times of the shining path. On Friday afternoon, I was arriving late, We agreed to have a drink. A couple of fifth-year students, Alfonso Bustamante and Juan Reto, invited me. Me, a second-year student. I was thrilled. We would meet few blocks away from our university. El Hueco was the only affordable bar for students. The list of daily specials were written on a blackboard. At the entrance was a garage door, and a few lights were hanging from the ceiling. After a long week, I realized I was going to be spending many years of my life buried at the Library of Legal and Political Science. Especially during that semester, I would read about philosophy of law. I felt really right. It felt really right to hang out for a moment with classmates.
Okay. All right.
So one thing that you did really well that I noticed is there's an excellent pacing in the writing, but you also, in your reading of the writing, you allow yourself to pause. So I don't know if there were section breaks or paragraph breaks, but you took a healthy pause between those sections, and that really helped me as a listener to sort of see it on the page or feel like I could see it on the page. And also the space between sentences. You were reading at a great pace. The sentences weren't blurring together. I would suggest... I noticed as you were standing up there, you were sort of dancing with the microphone a little. I could see you sort of pulling your head back and forth, trying to, because probably it's weird when you hear your own voice in a microphone, and so maybe you were trying to get a sense of how loud to be, and that's just something that comes with practice. And what I always recommend to readers is just eat the mic. Just get up as close as you can, and then people will have no trouble hearing you.
I also thought that you might try that piece with the podium, because the podium is a sort of source of power, and it can be a problem for that reason. But this piece is political and challenging, and you could grab the side of it and look up. You could pause even longer, because then we would feel implicated rather than just listening to the story of your life, which, by the way, once you introduced yourself as a character, I felt completely implicated. So I would start reading it a little later than you started, because the front piece is a lot of explanation. But I would probably use the power podium for this piece as a way to challenge the room. The other thing is, because you have the music of another language inside your English, that's very pleasurable for us. But you don't want us to sit there and just exoticize you. And the fact that it's politically challenging is a real strength. And read it soft and quiet like you're doing, but slow. Use the power from the podium. Don't move your body. Or if you do the podium, we'll hide it. And you got us. We'll sign up. What revolution are you leading?
I like that podium feedback. I didn't even think about that based on the content. So that's a really good call out. Is this your first time reading?
Like this, yes.
Like this. You did. This is. So I have to say, you did a fantastic job. This is your first time doing this. You did a really great job. The only other feedback that I would add would be just the eye contact. You got to work on the eye contact a little bit, because I noticed that you didn't look up from the paper at all, and I think that's partially because this is your first time doing this. Yeah. So it's just a matter of just doing this kind of thing more. There's various open mics available around town that are safe spaces that you can perform your own work within a prescribed time limit, typically like 5 minutes. So I would recommend, if you're interested in improving that performative aspect, definitely try to go to more open mics, and we can talk afterwards. I can give you some suggestions. Thank you. Give it up for Zoila. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to add one thing. The Shining Path is real, and I am from Lima, Peru, and I did study legal studies.
Yes.
And I didn't mean to be political or heavy. I meant it to be more like, it is a short story. And what I wanted to portray is that in the middle of the chaos, there's always hope for everybody. That's all.
Thank you. All right. Scientific randomness. Valerie, are you here? Valerie Willis, y'all.
Do you guys want me to say the title or?
That's up to you.
Okay, that's up to me. All right. Give me a second. Huffing, she rolled to her side, but the shrill call of a bird outside her window made it impossible to sleep. Every time she had finally drifted off, the harsh sound would startle her awake. Frustrated, she covered her head with her pillow. It muted the annoying creature enough to be almost comfortable. Exhaling and steady, slow breaths, she felt herself begin to doze off. Once more, the interruption from the vile, feathered creature stayed strong in its goal to keep her awake and on high alert. Another shriek rang out, louder, closer, followed by the ruffling sound from her room. Rolling the pillow off her head, she dared herself to peek. Hissing and calling erupted from the crow that took flight from where it had stood, staring her in the eyes. Frantic, she screamed and flailed the pillow around, aiming to hit the dreadful creature. It laughed at her efforts, continuing its jarring screams, fluttering just out of her reach every time she tried to shoo it away. Tiring of the game of chase, it went back out the window, only to rest just out of reach, and it continued its unnerving songs and shrieks. Now she had another reason to dislike this place. There was no air conditioning in the hotel, and to close the window would make the heat and humidity in her room unbearable. Another shriek from the crow caused her to jump where she stood. Flustered, she screamed, "I promise! I'll give you anything you want if you just stop!" The bird fell silent. Shocked, she stared into the black eyes of the crow, who seemed to whisper it would return to claim this promise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was great. As I was listening, I felt like I was a kid at a campfire, and like my counselor's trying to scare me, telling us one of these scary, terrifying stories. So there's a very storytelling kind of quality. I feel like if you want to read a story in that way, it definitely requires the eye contact with the audience, where you're looking at everybody and you're putting the emphasis on these certain words and trying to make them jump. And but for more of a literary reading, I think you can dial back a lot of the sort of emotion and pitch changes in your voice. And if you get the words just right, I think they'll come across in the prose, if that makes sense.
I thought too, since you seem to want to move your body, and I also have the hair glasses thing, which can be a little bit of a shield if we're not too careful. So I felt like you wanted to move a little bit, and there is no reason that you should have to stay behind a podium, behind a mic, by anything. I mean, why not move through the crowd holding a mic? I agree, I think the delivery should be much quieter, but there's no reason you can't move, especially with that story, to increase the sort of scary campfire-ness that we all really did enjoy.
Okay. I know, that's the first instinct. So, is this your first time ever reading in public?
In the audience, the closest I've done, besides my own children, is I did an online radio reading, but because there's like no eyes, no physical bodies, that was way easier than this. I'm like feeling like I'm doing this while I'm standing in front of you guys, because it's also my own work, which I'm not used to reading in public.
So I have to say that being this your first time, so typically first-time readers have like the whole handshake thing. The page shakes particularly madly. There was one incident where a person almost collapsed on stage and had to put a chair underneath this particular person. And you didn't really exhibit any of those things. For your first time, it was not your first time, which is really good. That's a really good place to start.
It probably helps that I've done cosplay.
Okay.
So performance history helps.
Okay. So that might have to be another workshop idea. It's like what we get out of cosplay in terms of like actually performing work. Because as always, Jamie and Terri provided fantastic feedback. The only thing that I would add is you were too far from the mic. The mic is a friend. Yeah, you don't want to hug it because then you get really loud like this. But you want to be at a comfortable distance, especially with the microphone. And to Terry's point, you can always like step away and perform off mic, or because you have a good pitch for it.
Right.
Where we could hear you without the microphone. The acoustics are really good. But you can always do that if that's part of the performance of the story is you're going to step back to do the whole crowd work thing because you do have the pitch and the volume to pull that off. So, but otherwise, if you want to use the microphone, find a safe distance. This is too close. This is too far. So just keep that in mind the next time that there's a microphone and whether or not you want to use that.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
let's give Valerie another round of applause. Thank you so much. All right. Hannah, are you here? I am. Come on down, Hannah.
Hello, everyone. Adopt me, world. Take me in as your own. It would mean so much. I need movement. The floor has been my home. Here, I eat sausages and sing to my wounds. I have a tuning fork. I use it as a hairbrush as well. World, do you have arms? Do clouds whisper to their children? I thought I heard one saying I was sad once. I cannot be sad on the ground. I merely rehearse for death here. It's the longest rehearsal of my life. Ants trail through occasionally, touch each other's heads, nod on towards the sugar cubes. I chant until I feel less than nothing. I dissolve into a pea. Soon, I will be in the mouth, down the throat, and out the anus of some unknown being. Earth, can I float? I've seen you do it with others, and I do not feel I can. I feel sinky, sinky, low, low, real low. How will anybody hear my swallows from down here? Earth, what was it like without us? Were you bored? Do we itch? Mother, are you a wound? I fear the ocean is your soul. It makes me scared to look in there, and it makes me scared to look at myself. And when I look at the fluorescent lights, I feel so dizzy, dizzy, dizzy. When I stop, I miss being dizzy, the depth of feeling it gives. I forget to cut my hair. The refrigerator's full of it. Takeout boxes are brimming with it. When I wrap myself up at night, I am a cool, sorrowful cocoon. I grow into the house.
Sorry I had to cut you off there, but thank you.
Wow, I have almost no criticism. That was a wonderful performance. You exhibit confidence. I'm always impressed by anyone who can memorize. The delivery was wonderful. Your voice is wonderful. It was masterful. If I had to be really picky, the verse that began with "Mother," right before you started that, you took a step back, and I thought you'd reached the end of the poem and we're beginning a new one. And I wasn't sure for a second. So just be careful with body language, because when you step back, it can sort of signal the end of a verse. So of a poem, as opposed to moving on to the next verse.
Yeah, I thought it was great. So now I want you to learn how to do some other stuff. I mean, that's how good it was. I mean, I think you got the whole podium, you got the memorization. The stuff is beautiful. You have a nice voice. You're good to look at. So what would happen if you delivered part of it? At one verse, you walk over and you stand on the sofa and you say it. Then you do, did anybody see Banu Kapril at Rollins College? I mean, she was laying on the floor, Banu Kapril and Ronaldo Wilson. I mean, he stood on a chair in the middle of the room. If you've got that kind of command, there is no reason that you shouldn't use, because it would give you something else to learn how to do and to invite the room. Because there is a moment where we were just watching you. And that's not, you don't want that. I mean, it's good, but there's a way to deflect the attention a little bit from that just by moving and making us, or sometimes you can throw down the paper as you're saying it. Vanessa Place does that. You don't want to look just like everybody else, but there are things that you could do that would add a different rhythm, something like that. But good work, keep going. And if you don't have an MFA, we've got one. Hey, y'all sign up.
Ken, a quick question for you. Is this your first time performing?
No.
What's your background?
I have a bachelor's in creative writing and poetry.
Okay.
And I do performance art. I'm mainly an artist.
Okay.
Work.
I
used to have an open mic weekly and things like that.
Okay. I have to say, I mean, it showed that you're clearly very polished as a performer. And to echo Terry's feedback, because you are so polished, it would be to evolve as a performer if that's something that you're truly interested in, to break out and do those types of performative things, because you clearly have command of your performance. Your eye contact was excellent. I have witnessed slam poets who don't have any of the poise that experienced slam poets that don't have your poise, which is amazing. But yeah, I think to echo Terry, I think if this is something that you're totally into, to push your performance further out, because you've got the basics down.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Jonathan.
Can you hear me? A question before I begin. Would it be better for purposes of workshopping to go with a piece that I intend to publish or a piece that I wrote to be performed?
Whatever you are most comfortable reading, whatever you feel most passionate about.
Okay, that answers it. It has come to my attention recently that certain members of the community have been spreading malicious rumors about me. Fearing for my reputation, I thought it wise to seek a public platform to defend myself, which I'm grateful to LitLando for providing. And so I would like to address those allegations in detail. Specifically, I refer to the accusations that I am a skeleton separatist wearing a human being costume. More specifically, my accusers claim that I have donned this facade to infiltrate human society to learn about its communications technologies and its methods of cultural transmission, and that using that knowledge, under the tutelage of Emmanuel Bonestein, prophet of the Marrow Gospels, I will cast a spell of osteohypnosis on the people of this land, awakening the skeleton slaves lying dormant within them by suppressing the will of their human puppeteers. And that once my kin have awakened to their glorious skeleton heritage, we will rise up and claim this wayward world, and they will shed the tyranny of skin in the prophesied Day of Knives. And that once we have, we will live forever as equals under a vision of bone-white purity. Let us storm the graveyards, smash the caskets, tear the sepulchres asunder. Let us write new plots for our buried comrades to follow, making them the leaders of their own stories. Let us steal the skull and bones from the pillagers and fly that flag ourselves as liberators. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing could be further from the truth. Was that 2 minutes?
9 seconds.
Okay, that was probably the best wrapping up point I could.
All right. Whenever you are ready.
Yeah, that was wild. I was not prepared for that. That was excellent. The prophesied Day of Knives. Yeah, each time it what I liked about not just that, well, I love the delivery of it. You're clearly confident, you know the work. You're having fun with it too, which is important. You didn't take yourself too seriously. I like when your fingers went up like this. But also just the material itself. I like the way it gets more and more absurd. And you start out not knowing if this is. It starts off feeling like something that's going to be serious, like someone who's actually had like actual allegations brought against them, and then it gets fun. So I enjoyed the delivery tremendously. I'm trying to think in terms of criticism. I would say you use your hands a lot when you talk, which is great. Just occasionally, I wasn't always sure what that. Sometimes you had a couple go-to moves of your hands used in the same way, but to underscore different kinds of lines. So you might want to watch out for repetition with those.
And now I really identify with you with the hair, the hair glasses combo, which, I mean, you'd think you'd look like you were hiding, but you really don't look like you're hiding. It's part of the whole effect. I love the flow of really dense and fun words. To have so much texture in a piece that I'm listening to is a pleasure, and it doesn't happen all the time. I would suggest more breaks. Do you know how to make any sounds? I mean, I'm like, okay, you say the hypnotism of bones, the masses are going to be hypnotized, 1, 2, 3, hypnotizes. I mean, give us a chance to get in there with you, because it's all you and it's full, and we want to come in. So anything you can do, noise, tap, pause, stick the microphone under, well, maybe not that, but anyway, we want to play. Let me put it that way.
So I have to ask,
Give this to you. I'm sorry.
is this your first time performing?
No.
Okay. I could tell based on how poised you are, the fact that you have your work memorized. You were clearly very poised and very comfortable on stage. Trying to think of the feedback that I could possibly give you. There's stuff that you got me, the osteohypnosis, that's just a fantastic concept. And that was really great. I'm trying to think what feedback that I can give you other than what Jamie and Terri, and I honestly can't think of any, because they've already given the feedback that I would possibly give. So really great job, and hopefully we'll need to talk at some point afterwards about some other stuff. So give it up for Jonathan. John, really quick, is the next panel downstairs or up here? It's up here. So I am, unfortunately, because we are almost out of time, I only have time for one more person. I apologize for those who are not able to perform, but thank you so much for signing up. But I want to give time for one more person, and I would like to bring up Amanda Wade.
Hi, what's up, guys? All right, so start now?
Go right ahead.
Okay, hi. Swimming through the dark road, I watched the snout of my car eat white lines over and over again, interrupted by a tiny shivering needle dipping into red, almost empty. I could not resist the glow of the gas station, which drew us in like minimum wage moths, fluttering towards some terrible lantern, and I had a feeling then, frightening, that even with a full tank I would have inevitably found myself here. Less than an hour ago I got off from work. Less than 24 hours ago I left my mother's home forever. If I was going to be lonely, I would be lonely among snack food logos and strangers. I want to feel romantic, like Hopper's Nighthawks. Black coffee and a way station for lost souls, convening here, not saying a word, knowing there are no words that matter, pretentious, pseudo-intellectual, stupid bullshit thoughts, dressing up some horrible vacancy that somehow occupy both the building and ourselves, and I wonder if I'm strong enough to survive it. The gas station is erotic in its excess and ease. It's huge, and God, gas stations don't need to be this big, but it feels so right. This is what people who work do. I want to buy things voraciously, sensually. I want to fill my car with Ben & Jerry's pints, colorful Bic lighters. I want to gorge myself on every coffee flavor and stuff salt packets down my coat pocket until they bulge like tumors. I'd settle for a bag of beef jerky I can't afford. The cashier's name is Anthony. I mumble at him and he leans forward to listen better. $15 on pump 19. Only under these fluorescent beams do I notice how dirty my uniform shirt is. That was bad.
All right.
Okay, so I think a lot of good stuff going on there. I like that you looked up occasionally. You made eye contact with us. Yeah, and when you did, it was great. I would say a couple things. One is watch out for the throat clearing right before you read, because when it comes over the microphone, it's like louder than. No. And then when you read, and this happens to every reader, occasionally you're gonna stumble and you're gonna mispronounce a word. So like when you corrected yourself on dirty, that was great. But earlier when you stumbled and you said something like blah, that just draws attention to it. Yeah, so it's fine. You're gonna make mistakes and you just keep going like you did the second time. You don't wanna apologize for it or make a weird sound. Right?
I love the cool girl affect. I mean, I'm always drawn. I mean, I immediately want to adopt you. You're just not playing to you're not trying to win our love. You know, you're not. I mean, I'm so drawn to this. I will say you have to watch out that the ends of your sentences come across very similarly, or if they're lines, no, they're sentences, right?
Yeah, they're sentences.
So you have a lot of similar survive it, like tumors, excess knees, what people do, you know. And so you would end to go at the end of almost every sentence like that. So that's something you can train yourself out of very easily by just adding another syllable or two, or making sure you don't have too many of those sentences together, because it doesn't hurt us at all when we're reading it. And by the way, the writing is lovely. But it does hurt in performance because we can hear it as, you know, I mean, I'm a poet and it's a metrical decision. Now, when you said what people who work do, when you did that, you were really making your voice do something different. And that's why that was memorable. So that's what I would work with, is a little bit on the rhythm of the ends of the sentences, but otherwise you're adopted.
So quick question for you. Is this your first time reading?
Like second or third, but it's been a minute.
Okay. Okay.
So might as well be my first time.
Okay. I'm going to also include as your feedback, because I thought you did a good job being this, like, I would say, like your third or fourth reading?
Paper was like...
So when you're nervous, the tendency is whenever you're nervous about something, that you tend to want to read faster. It's almost like that you want to get off stage as fast as possible, based on the speed of the words. And we can tell that as a listener is based on the speed. Unless the speed contributes to the overall narrative of what you're trying to do, you want to work on slowing that down. And I think the way that you do that is rehearsing is one way. Reading more in public at open mics is also a really good way of doing that. And I think once you do that, amongst all with the additional feedback that was provided, I think that you could be a very strong reader. So I would absolutely keep working on, keep getting yourself exposed out there, keep reading in public, and just get yourself more comfortable. And in time, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable on stage.
Cool, thank you.
So thank you so much. All right, so the next panel is up here at 3:30. I think it's, I don't know whether it's off the top of my head, but schedules are downstairs. I would like to thank James Poissant and Terri Witek. Please give them a round of applause. And to all of our readers, give them a big round of applause. And apologies for those who we could not get to because we were unfortunately running out of time. Thank you all so much for coming to this. This is the first time that I've ever facilitated anything like this as a workshop, and it seemed to go pretty well. So I hope we get to do this again next year for LitLando. And all of you were fantastic. So if you have questions and whatnot about where to perform in town, I have a bio break that I have to take, and then I'll be happy to answer those questions downstairs if you're not going to stick around for the next panel here. So again, thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of LitLando.